The podcast you are about to listen to is not a medical podcast, nor is it designed to diagnose a condition. While there are medical experts on the show, any questions regarding medical care or concern should be directed to a primary care physician.
The team at Imvax is dedicated to delivering new, personalized immunotherapy approaches to improve outcomes for people living with glioblastoma and other solid tumors. Leveraging decades of validated research and technologies, Imvax's unique platform is designed to capture a tumor's full antigen signature and use it to stimulate a patient's immune system against remaining tumor cells. Imvax, advancing a new approach to personalized cancer immunotherapy. Hey, it's your friend Shannon Traphagen, and welcome to the Game ON Glio podcast. Here we tell the stories of brain cancer and tumor warriors, clinicians, medical experts, and those in the grief and loss community. Thanks to all of you for making our podcast one of the most popular podcasts globally. If you enjoy our show, please consider writing a review. Also share us with a friend and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and our website.
Season 4 of the Game ON Glio podcast is sponsored by GT MedTech and GammaTile Therapy. Learn more at gtmedtech.com. Season 4 is also sponsored by Imvax, personalized whole tumor derived immunotherapy. Learn more at imvax.com. This episode is brought to you by Highmark Blue Cross Blue Shield of Western New York. Visit mybcbswny.com.
You grow through what you go through. Think about that. Even when bad things happen, we can grow and learn from it. If we refuse to grow, if we refuse to change, to challenge ourselves, to see someone else's point of view, to see the gratitude even in the worst of situations, we don't grow. We stay stuck in our pain. We become stagnant. We become ignorant. We become a shadow of the best parts of being human. Did you ever stop to think that hope and pain, hope and despair are paths to the same destination? The only way to grow, the only way to become better human beings, the only way out is to consider whether there might be some benefit to the circumstances we found ourselves in, even if we have no idea what that might be. The simple act of being open to possibility, of being open to change, of being open to the circumstances that we find ourselves in allows us to shed the feeling of being a victim. It sheds us even looking at ourselves like a victim, and it opens up the possibility of feeling empowered. Sometimes there is beauty in painful situations. When I look back at all that has happened to me, I never would have learned how strong I am or how resilient I am if I hadn't lost so much. It doesn't take the hurt away, and it doesn't take away my longing for Mike and the life that we were supposed to have. And it's not a situation that I would welcome or invite in. But 3.5 years on, I'm able to see the good in it. I'm able to witness the extraordinary strength and love that pours out from every corner of the world when people need help. I'm able to stand on my own 2 feet. I'm able to be grateful for what I had with Mike, even though he's now gone. I'm able to understand what being present truly means. I never truly respected that phrase. I never understood what that really meant. Now it's part of my process. Instead of controlling everything or trying to figure it all out or trying to have the answers or trying to see 5 steps ahead, I'm letting go. I'm letting a higher power take the wheel and drive. That is growing through what we're going through. That's how we grow. That's how we move forward. Hold on to that phrase. Use that phrase. We grow through what we go through. It brings us to a place of gratitude. Our guest today, Emily Peterson, shows us what it means to be resilient and how to continue to give to others and have compassion, even in the face of extreme hardship. She sits down with us next after a brief word from one of our sponsors.
Our time is precious. especially when you or your loved one is diagnosed with a brain tumor or the cancer has spread to the brain. That is why GammaTile is here, the only FDA-cleared bioabsorbable implant specifically designed for the brain that delivers immediate radiation at the time of brain tumor removal. No more waiting to start radiation. No more of your precious time spent going to outpatient radiation treatments. With GammaTile, focus on what truly matters: your recovery, your strength, and cherished moments with loved ones. Discover GammaTile centers near you and find hope from inspiring patient stories at GammaTile.com.
Welcome back, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. Our guest today is Emily Peterson. She's the CEO of Saranoni Luxury Blankets and Saranoni Cares. She's also the mother of 6 and the wife to her late husband, Nathan. Emily, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here. Happy to be here.
So we have a lot of ground to cover today, and I will precede our discussion by actually saying Saranoni has partnered with us for some of our fundraising endeavors for clinical trials in the last year and has graciously donated blankets and robes to our fundraising auction. So I first want to say thank you, because your blankets and the luxury goods that you guys have are absolutely gorgeous and they're so cozy and soft. So I want to say thank you.
Yeah, happy to be able to help out there. Anything we can do to help out and all the good that you're doing.
Thank you. So let's dive right in. Let's talk about the company first. You know, you started Saranoni Luxury Blankets with your late husband. How did the company form? You know, how did this come about?
I was actually born with microtia, which is a condition where the middle and the outer ear don't form, but mine was like a mild case. And we were always told that it's not hereditary. And so, of course, you know, it wasn't even on our minds as we had our very first beautiful daughter, Eliza. But Eliza was born with microtia, which her condition was actually even worse than mine. And she was born just basically with an earlobe and kind of a folded over ear, but no canal going into her ear.
Oh, wow.
You know, we were a little shocked, taken back, but she was this beautiful daughter. And as time went on and we were researching and exploring different ways to be able to have an ear created for Eliza, by this time we had, 3 children by the time that she could start visiting doctors about getting an ear reconstruction. At that time, we learned that to be able to have this surgery, we would need to come up with $100,000.
Wow.
Yeah, crazy. It was a surgery that is not covered by insurance. It's considered cosmetic. And so we were just totally taken back. We're a young couple, 3 young kids. At that time, they didn't have like these GoFundMes. And so we were just trying to say, like, how are we going to come up? That was the first initial surgery, right? There were other surgeries that would need to happen. And so we were like, how do we come up with that money? We had been given beautiful gift baskets by Nathan's company when we would have a child, but it was just stuff that I would end up throwing away, not like high quality stuff. And so that's where we came up with the idea, like maybe we can start a baby gift basket company. We were in the midst of babies and raising babies. We knew what mothers like.
Do what you know.
Exactly. And so at that time, that's how we started it. Saranoni actually started as a gift basket company. And so I thought, well, I'm at home. Nathan has his full-time job. I'm going to do everything that I can to be able to help us. It was basically born out of love, love for a daughter and our desire to be able to just help her and be able to have an ear, I guess, an outer ear.
So the gift basket company just blossomed and grew into this luxury blanket company that now also offers, you have a ton of baby items in there, but you guys also offer robes as well now.
Yeah. So basically gift baskets, 5 years in, we're not making money. And Nathan comes to me and says, okay, you're having fun, dressing our kids cute and making these cute gift baskets. But so then we pared it down to just a blanket company at that point. And that's where our growth really came. We started off with baby blankets, and the parents would get the baby blanket and it was like so soft, so comforting that they were like, when are you going to make our size. And so it's evolved into this brand where we have blankets from babies all the way to adults, to bedding, to robes, and just anything. Our goal is to just bring comfort and warmth to individuals and their loved ones. And so that's kind of how we base our business. So we've got all sorts of products, but mainly a luxury blanket company.
Why Saranoni? Where did the name come from?
Oh, that's a good question. So Sarah was Nathan's great grandmother, and then Noni was my great grandmother. We looked at people that were influential in our lives and had sacrificed to be able to bring about good, and we're examples of faith, we're examples of family, and all the good qualities we wanted to base our business off of. And so we actually just took each of their names and combined them to create the name Saranoni.
Never, ever would have thought that. I mean, the name Saranoni flows so elegantly,
Yeah.
it seems like it's just all one word. So wow, I really like that. And I love the basis of the mission. Speaking of that, I mean, you guys have this luxury blanket company, but you launched an initiative called Saranoni Cares off of the work that you guys do and based on the mission that you were just telling me about. So tell us a little bit about Saranoni Cares and some of the work that you guys do and what you guys give back to the community.
When you think of a luxury blanket, we just started to see that it brought a lot of comfort, right, to people. There were people in all different situations, whether it be a baby or it be someone that was in need. We saw people buying for other people, being able to just provide comfort. Obviously, as it grew, when we first set out the gift basket company, one of our goals was that we would be able to, if possible, we wanted to be able to provide for people that were in third world countries or circumstances that were less than ideal, and see if we could help others.
Mm-hmm.
We always had that in mind. It wasn't until the company grew a little bit more that we were able to actually do good. But we were always giving in the community around us when we could see the need. So we wanted to be able to do good a little bit beyond our community. And so we actually partnered with some organizations to be able to do good. And so we have created blankets, like our Kamai blanket is a blanket that we have in sizes from baby to adult, but we donate a portion of the proceeds so people, as they come to our site, they buy that blanket, they can know that it's going to help people in other countries. So our smaller blankets on that Kamai blanket, for example, it actually provides mothers in Cambodia, in rural areas that would not be able to have a baby in a hospital. It provides a moped ride to the hospital, 3 days in the hospital. It's not a real hospital, it's more of a clinic. And then a moped ride home.
Wow.
That's what the smaller blankets do. And then we've been able to take the larger blankets and we just take a portion of those sales and we've been able to donate it. And I believe we have provided 75 wells for rural communities in Cambodia so they can actually have fresh water. It just helps, obviously, diminishes the sickness and the deaths in those rural areas. So we've been able to do a lot of good. We have helped with some Syrian refugees. We've also been able to help with a school in Africa, and then some additional initiatives in Cambodia. So we've been able to do this all in different countries.
Mm-hmm.
But then Nathan and I started feeling like we wanted to do good closer to us.
To home.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're doing all of this good work. And I know that, and we're going to kind of talk about another initiative that you've taken on, but it really stems off some personal experience. So, here you are doing all this amazing, great work all over the globe, helping lower income cultures and third world nations in desperate need of just some basics, doing good at home. And you've got this amazing family and 6 beautiful children. You've grown this amazing company with your husband. And then something happened in 2021 that was very unexpected.
Yeah, no, that's exactly. 6 kids. We just had our first go off to college and our youngest enter kindergarten. And so we felt like we were in the prime of life, you know what I mean? Like going to all these basketball games and golf matches. And basically, my husband tells me on a Sunday that he's tired, extra tired. And he had been out with our kids down at a game. And so that made sense to me. But by Thursday, he said, I know I have a thyroid problem. So Friday, I took him into Instacare
Mm-hmm.
because he was just extremely tired. That's really all that we could see at that point.
So it was extreme fatigue. That was it.
Mm-hmm,
Okay.
mm-hmm. Fatigue. And then he said that he, by Wednesday, he's like, I feel like weakened in my core stomach muscles. Like I'm not able to pull myself up to center as much as I normally do. He's very fit. He is one that didn't eat sweets, didn't have carbonation, and like exercised and lifted weights, daily. He was very fit. And so he's just, I'm feeling this weakness in my core muscles, but we looked up on thyroid and we were like sure that, oh, yep, there's a condition that causes that. So we went in, we couldn't get into the doctors, went into Instacare that morning. Actually, Thursday night, one of my kids saw him bump into a wall.
Interesting.
That night, I actually went into the bathroom and called my mom and said, I don't think it's just a thyroid problem. When I heard that and I asked him and he said, oh yeah, I just got a little off balance. I had maybe an inkling that it was something maybe different than a thyroid, but of course,
your gut was just saying something.
Maybe not just a thyroid, but we went into Instacare. They immediately just did a few tests on like him lifting his arms, sent us to the emergency room.
Yep.
And that's where they found a tumor that was 1 inch by 1.5 inches in the middle of his brainstem.
In the middle of his brainstem.
Yes.
So he was very quickly diagnosed with glioblastoma.
Yeah. Of course, they didn't tell us that it was glioblastoma. They said, you need to go to Huntsman, which is our large cancer institute that's just about 1.5 hours from us.
Mm-hmm.
Friday, he walked into Instacare, right? No help, no. It was Nathan, like the fit Nathan.
Mm-hmm.
But by Sunday evening, he couldn't walk on his own. My sons had to be at both of his sides to be able to help him walk.
So not even 3 days. So within 3 days.
Oh yeah. Friday to Sunday evening, he could still stand on his own, but he just couldn't walk on his own without support. It was amazing. It's like not even believable almost,
I've said this before, and I have probably said this on the show, but it's such a weird, because Mike was the same way. There were not a lot of overt symptoms going into the emergency room, but then it's almost like the cancer realizes it's going to be found, and the symptoms just all of a sudden out of nowhere, like you snap your finger and it's just one after the next, and you're like, you don't even know how to describe it because it just comes on so quickly when everything was fine, literally 24 hours before.
Yeah, isn't it? It isn't amazing. It's just crazy stuff.
It's so weird how it happens that way. And in Nathan's case, because of the location, and I don't know, did he do surgery or was it inoperable?
So basically what happened, there are a series of miracles. We were able to get into Huntsman on the following Tuesday. So Friday to Tuesday, we went into that appointment. They actually called us. It was a neighbor that shared our scans apparently with someone at Huntsman, and the doctor called me and I said, oh, well, I have an appointment on the 28th, thinking like, oh, it's fine.
Right.
And this was on the 7th, I believe. Anyway, he called me and said, I have an opening tomorrow. Do you want to come? And so I knew at that point, I was like, okay, why would the doctor call me?
Yeah.
But we went in and that tumor was actually blocking his cerebral spinal fluid from flowing throughout his body. So they just looked at him and said, hey, friend, you're not leaving the hospital. And he was admitted. To be honest, I thought we were going down there to like receive all sorts of like, what's my treatment plan, right? Like what chemo, what radiation can we have? What can we do to be able to fight this cancer? We're going to beat this. That was really our mentality. Like we were both totally ready for that. We had researched over the weekend and we're like, oh, we can have GammaTile Therapy. And like, we were just doing all this and we just felt like, oh, this is something we can fight. So he was admitted that day that we were at Huntsman. He received emergency surgery the next morning to put in a stent to be able to relieve that fluid that was creating this hydrocephalus.
So they put in a shunt, and then were they able to remove some of the tumor?
No doctor in the nation would touch it. It's in the middle of the brainstem, and they just said it's just something we are not able to do. So no surgery on that. Of course, a biopsy at that point to be able to confirm that, yes, indeed, it was glioblastoma. Yeah, there was no options of treatment.
I hate to ask, and you know I'm going to ask, and I hate to bring it up, but he declined very rapidly.
Yes. Yeah.
So from start to finish, how long did he have?
It was November 5th is when we walked into Instacare, and he passed away on January 5th. So 2 months to the day.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's almost like a sudden death.
Yeah.
Glioblastoma in general takes people within 15 months to 3 years, and I hate to say but at least there's time to kind of sort of at least wrap your head around what's going on. But 2 months, I don't know many patients who have had such little time.
And really, by the time that we were in the hospital recovering from the surgery, he was in there recovering from the surgery. And I stayed with him every night. There was only one night I wasn't able to be with him because they wouldn't allow me to be there. But when those results came back and they confirmed it was glioblastoma, they gave us 4 weeks. So by that time, it'd been a couple weeks. And so, yeah, 8 weeks, it was quick. They were beautiful, sacred 8 weeks, but it was quick.
You guys are fairly young. How old was Nathan when he passed?
51.
51. I mean, you and Nathan have been together for a very long time.
Yep. We celebrated our 24th wedding anniversary on November 21st. So a couple of weeks after he was
diagnosed.
Yeah.
In hearing this news and the surgery's done, they're telling you he's got maybe a few weeks left. And you've shared like some pictures. I remember seeing a picture of him in his last days with all of you gathered on the bed. And I remember thinking in my head, I don't know how she's posting that. I have a couple of pictures from Mike's last days. I can barely look at them on my phone. Like it was so brave of you to put that out there. But what was going on in your mind? I mean, how do you wrap your head around this when you've only had a couple of weeks to even digest the fact that this is what it is, and it's not even on anyone's radar?
Yeah, I guess, I normally would not have posted, but like we were trying to gather the faith of anybody that we knew to exercise faith on our behalf to like pray for a miracle.
Yeah.
That's our first thought was like, the more people we can have praying for a miracle, maybe we will be able to see that miracle. People were so good. And I wanted to show the world that maybe we weren't going to receive our miracle, but we were finding miracles in the everyday. We were finding miracles in all the service and the love and the beauty of kids just being able to lay down and cuddle with their dad and know that everything's going to be okay in the end, and to be able to just share some of those special moments and those what we felt were like our mini miracles.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't get our big miracle, but we were experiencing these miracles. And I felt like I needed to share those beautiful miracles and beautiful moments that were taking place.
Do you feel like it gave you strength, those mini miracles?
Yeah, I think I had hope almost to the very end. We actually went on an experimental from just a doctor out of California, unbeknownst to Huntsman, trying to just anything, because I just wanted some sort of hope. And so I think I was just holding on to that, but also realizing and talking and being open with the kids, this may not work. So it gave me strength. Number one, like the hope that came from the community, that and others serving and praying for us, there was a lot of strength that was derived just from that.
So many pieces and elements of what you're talking about right now were exactly like talking about how you were praying for that big miracle and just wanting everybody's prayers and faith. And we did very much the same thing. We actually had a prayer bowl that we put out getting towards the end before we really knew what was happening.
Yes. I think you don't know what's happening, right?
Like we didn't know that it had gotten into his cerebral spinal fluid. I didn't understand why he was rapidly losing weight all of a sudden. But we had this prayer bowl out, and we had people that would write little cards. Like they were literally being mailed to people all across the globe, and they were writing messages and then sending them back, and we were putting them in this bowl. And I just kept thinking, oh God, please just give us this huge miracle. This man is only 45 years old. And I did the same thing that you did. I mean, up until his very last breath, I sat there and I never let go of hope. I never let go, even though I knew that it probably wasn't rational and that it probably, it was unrealistic and it wasn't going to happen. And, I even had an extended family member At one point, they were saying kind of goodbyes like through the speakerphone in his last couple weeks, and they were trying to convince me that it was time to let him go. I wouldn't hear of it because he wasn't ready. He had made it very clear he wasn't ready yet. We knew it was coming, but he wasn't ready yet. And I said, until he tells me he's ready, until he shakes his head and says, okay, I'm ready, and until that time comes, then I'm not doing this. Hope is such a powerful, powerful, powerful thing. Even in your darkest, darkest moments, I don't think it is wrong to hold out for hope in any situation. I just think it's such a beautiful thing that that's what you guys did.
Well, and I've looked back because I'm like, whoa, was I like blind, But at the same time, I just say like, no, like I wouldn't have wanted to have it any other way, to not have that hope and that love and like, we love you, like to be able to have that and share that with your kids and share that with your husband.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't want to have been like, no, we're done right from the beginning. Like this is over. To me, that isn't as beautiful as what faith and hope can bring.
Now, you are just over a year into your journey of loss with him, correct?
We're actually just hit 2 years.
You just hit 2 years. Okay.
Yes.
So still, and not too far behind me. You've got 6 kids. You're the CEO of a company. You're trying everything you can to just keep it together, keep a roof over everybody's head. You've got very young kids. What have you found helpful in your healing journey? Because this is a tough road and you have a lot on your plate. So what has been helpful to you as you navigate this?
Yeah, for me, it has been my faith. That has just played probably the biggest role for me and my children and our healing and our being able to deal with this challenge and just being able to go to that higher source and know that I have a Heavenly Father or God who loves me and loves my family and a Savior and who knows, I look at them, I remember the only night I wasn't able to spend with Nathan. He had his surgery. He was in ICU and they wouldn't let me sleep with him. I slept with him all the other nights there in the hospital. But I remember, being mad and angry that night and yelling and just couldn't believe that this is what was happening. But then it only lasted a little bit because I tried to pull it back to like, what do I know? And what do I know about my God? And what do I know about my Savior, Jesus Christ? And I knew that they loved me. They love Nathan and they love our children. And I just envisioned them being heartbroken, looking down on us and understanding and feeling what we were going through and their desire to help me. So I think it's going to be different for each of us. That anger may last for a long time and that this isn't fair. But one of the things that Nathan said to us at the very beginning, he's like, let's not ask why, let's ask what. Every time I go to try to ask that, I'm like, no, Nathan has asked me not to ask what. We know life isn't fair. There's challenges and people, just because you're good people doesn't mean you're not.
Doesn't mean you're immune.
Yeah, you're spared tribulation or trials or challenges.
Mm-hmm.
That's where my connection, love, where I can share my feelings and my heart and my burdens. That's where I feel I go to. That's where I feel like I've received strength beyond my own ability. I mean, I wasn't CEO of a company. I have had to take on more than I ever imagined. And it has been heavy, right? Like raising 6 kids and trying to learn how to read a balance sheet, like things I had never done before, right? Knowing that I had someone that cared for me and that I could rely on Jesus Christ's strength and help just has been what has helped me.
Everybody has their own version or their own take on what faith looks like to them. But in each of those circumstances, and I've said so many times, there are many times that I was within that first year and a half, I wasn't angry so much at the fact that it had happened. It was what's done is done. This has already happened. Mm-hmm. There's no going back. Mm-hmm. But I was really angry with God that he took so much from us before Mike got sick, that he took the ability for us to even have a kid and then the adoption and stuff. And that's what got that. That was why I was so, I was like, if you knew this was coming, then why couldn't we at least have one kid before this happened? But I also knew that I was allowed to be angry with him.
Sure.
I yelled at him and I swore
Yeah.
and I knew that that was okay, because I knew at the end of the day, it wasn't going to stop him from loving me. And I got to the same place where I mean, my faith has definitely, it is what has kept my head above water. I mean, it is what I have leaned on the most. It allowed me to get past a place of asking why and just trying to figure out what now.
Yep.
This has happened to me. How do I turn this into purpose? Like, what can I do with this to help others and to feel like I have a voice, so that I don't become invisible and I don't just fade away. And then all of a sudden I fade from life altogether.
Yeah.
And so it's very, very powerful. And everybody has their own journey with whatever their belief system is, whether it's a universal energy or, whether they're, of a different religion. And it doesn't even matter, because I truly feel that we're all interconnected in some way. And that energy goes somewhere, it goes somewhere.
Some sort of higher source. And I
Yeah.
think also those around us, right? Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
And like being able to derive strength from those around us. So I think turning to a higher source, whatever that may look like in anyone's life, right?
Right.
And I just think for me, it's believing and knowing that someone cared, that the Savior cared, and he had felt similar things to me, and had gone through challenges.
And it provides comfort, doesn't it? I mean, whether it was, Jesus Christ, or whether it's somebody else that is navigating this experience, it's comforting in a way to know that, what, I'm not the only one who's gone through this. It doesn't make it better. It doesn't make it easier.
Yeah.
But it does bring comfort in some way to know that we're not alone, no matter what the journey is that we're on. And yours has been quite a journey. It's a huge testament. I was talking to somebody, I was being interviewed yesterday for something, and she had mentioned to me, she had written a book. She's a New York Times author, and she had written a book about widows a couple of years ago with a widow who eventually passed away herself. She said, I learned so much. She's like, I never understood. I never really got it. And I never knew how resilient and strong widows can be, and widowers, can be with an experience like this. It caught my attention because I don't think we realize what we can do until we're pushed to the brink. I mean, you're showing that right now in balancing and doing all that you have to do. I mean, you very easily could have just said, I quit, I give up, I can't do this, and just hidden away. And you haven't done that. You've risen above. And, and part of that is, Saranoni Cares. I mean, you guys have even done give backs and charity work with the blankets for brain cancer.
Yes, with Saranoni Cares, it was quite amazing when you look at the timeline of things, because I believe it was somewhere around 3 or 4 months before Nathan got sick that we sat down and we were wanting to do something locally. And he just said, our blankets bring comfort to people that are going through cancer. We have a lot of people come in and buy blankets for people going through chemo and radiation. He said, I want to do something for Huntsman.
This was before he got sick.
This is like 3 to 4 months before.
Oh my God.
We had placed the order. It was a large order, and we wanted to be able to do good and donate them to the Huntsman Cancer Institute. And so literally on the day we went to Huntsman, that Tuesday, I was wheeling them in. And at that point, I had no idea what our diagnosis would be, right? Up here where we got where we had the MRI, we didn't have any specialists here. So we had to go down there. So we were blinded, that day. But I joked with him as I wheeled them in and said, you might get one of your own blankets, like jokingly.
Yeah.
Like, little did I know that we wouldn't even have those blankets by the time he passed away.
Wow.
I mean, that's how quick.
Yeah.
So I couldn't give those blankets. Those blankets sat here at the office. It was thousands of blankets, and I couldn't do it in that first year. But that second year, we decided on Brain Cancer Awareness Month that we would take my kids and all the team members here. And we went down and we had a beautiful experience as we were able to take it to people in infusion blankets. and just donate thousands of blankets to Huntsman Cancer Institute.
What do you think Nathan would say? I mean, not being able to really see how much Saranoni Cares has grown, what do you think he would say? Like, if he's looking down right now, what do you think he would say to you, seeing all the good that you guys have done?
Oh, I just think he'd be proud, right? And I think he's proud of our kids for being able to be so resilient in such a hard thing. It's heartbreaking for kids,
Yeah.
I had 5 years old to 19 years old at the time that he passed. And I just think he told us, there were some beautiful things that he said. And I believe, they're still part of our lives. I turn to him all the time. When I need help parenting, I talk to him all the time. Like, hey, Nathan, like, help me out. You're their father. I'm their mother. I'm here. You're on the other side. Like, help me out, So I love the beauty in like feeling like I can still have that relationship with him, but I think he would just say that he's proud of us for just not giving up. And, some days you just feel like, yeah, I would have loved to have the opportunity just to curl up in bed and just sleep for 2 weeks. And,
I think that could be a pro of having kids.
There's no question. Like I had to get up, right? Every morning. I had to get them off to school.
Yeah.
I had the business here that I had to get back to. They let us, those 8 weeks, we didn't think once about the business. Everyone just ran everything like it should. And the community came in, helped fill orders because we had just had our biggest sell of the year. And we didn't have to worry about business at all. We didn't talk about business. We just focused on him.
That with your grief.
So I think you would be proud at all the just being strong, So, and I'm sure you feel the same way about your husband.
Oh yeah. Mike and I have many conversations, and there are days where when something breaks or there's a huge issue with the house, he was always the handy one. And I'm like, okay,
Yes.
Mike, give me some inspiration. What would you do right now? How would you fix this? I got to remember like what you taught me. And, I have many conversations with him on a daily basis. As you talk about, talking to Nathan and reaching out to him when you need strength and inspiration and the juggling act that life is with him gone. You and I have talked about this in the past. You talk about needing, as you're kind of entering a new phase of your grief journey, the feeling overwhelmed sometimes and needing to find a bit more balance so that you can get through each day and all of the tasks that you have to get done. And with your family working so closely together with you and the business, how do you find balance? What does balance look like for you, or what do you want it to look like for you?
For me, that word just almost doesn't exist. I mean, like it's like I feel like I'm the person that is trying to spin the plates on their finger, and like we can't spin all of them at the same time. Like to me, that is balance. Is like if I could spin all the plates at one time at the same speed, but I can't do that, and so I have found that like sometimes like I can only spin one plate, and other ones are dropping, and it's okay. I've had to be okay with that. Where maybe in the past I wouldn't be okay, that I wasn't keeping up in some areas of my life. But I've just had to be okay with that and realize like I can't have complete balance. I can't do everything, right? And I think this journey, you're just learning new things all the time. And I'm just realizing just more recently that like I need to take time for myself, because I think it's easy to be able to just be like, the business needs me, my kids need me, and like I go until like it's midnight or 1 a.m, and I get up and I do it again, But I just think I'm learning that I need to take time. I haven't gotten there yet, but I'm getting there, and I'm trying a little harder. But I think that's part of our healing. We need to watch out and be able to what are the things that bring me joy? What are the things that I need to kind of fill my soul and be renewed? And I need to take time for that, because I think if we just keep going, number one, I think it's important for us to be able to process our grief, and that, I mean, I don't know about you, but like it hasn't gone away, right? And I don't think it will go away. And
it's not going to.
And I tell my kids, like, I wouldn't want it to, like, of course, I cry, often, when I in our prayers, we try to be grateful for Nathan every day. And I don't think I made it through the first year of our family prayers and talking and being grateful for Nathan and all the type of father and husband that he was, I don't think I made it through without crying. I couldn't, it took me over a year. And sometimes I'm right back there. If I wasn't sad, I mean, to be sad, sorrow means we love.
Yes.
And that we love deeply. As we feel that sorrow and that sadness, that just means we love, and we loved and continue to love. And so I think it's impossible to face loss. We all have loss, and like in your situation, it wasn't actually just a loss of a husband. It's loss of hopes, it's loss of dreams, it's loss of a family. Though, like, there's so many losses that we face in life, whether we lose a loved one to glioblastoma, or even just a loss of hopes and a hope of a family relationship, a marriage like we want. There's people, we all experience loss, but I don't think it's possible to face loss without grief.
Yeah.
It's all right to cry and to remember all those beautiful experiences. I guess it's the price we pay for love.
Yeah, it really is, and I think that you touched on the grief, may never go away. And it doesn't. What it does is morph and change.
Yeah.
It gets a little duller. The edges aren't quite as sharp as time passes, and the passage of time, we can't control that. It's going to keep moving forward. But what you say about experiencing joy and finding those things that feed your soul, that is so, so unbelievably important. Those are the things that I think when we lose somebody so imminent and so close to our orbit, and that is so vital to our day to day, and somebody that we've loved so deeply, allowing that joy, wanting to have that joy, I think there's a guilt that's associated with it. It takes a lot of time to find that balance and to say that it's okay to want to find some joy or to feel good, even if it's just for half an hour. And you're like, oh, I have a smile on my face. The sun is shining. Today's a good day. It's okay to have that, to have those moments, to feel that. And it just takes practice, but it's practice that's important. And if that's the one thing that I can stress, and I know you and I have talked a little bit about this, is that to just go, and to have kind of a Groundhog's Day where it just, and I have done that for almost 3 years, where my Saturday felt like my Monday. Everything kind of bled into the next. I got really sick this past holiday season, and with upper respiratory, just flu and pneumonia. That was my body's way of saying, you need to start feeding your soul again. You need to let the walls down. You need to breathe. You need to take time away from work. You need to find moments that are just yours. And it takes a lot of practice. Yeah, it really does.
I think it is. It's hard, right?
It's very hard, especially when you're balancing, in your case, you've got 6 kids. And, I have another friend who's got 4 little kids and just lost her husband not too long ago. So it's even that much harder, because you want to be everything you can for them and be their support, but you also have to take care of you. And so finding that balance it's tricky. But the first step is the fact that you've identified that this is what needs to happen, right?
Yep. I'm there and trying to move forward, right?
And you're doing it beautifully. I mean, it's a journey, and like you said, we all experience grief in some way. We all have moments where, whether it's the loss of a career we thought we were going to have, or it's a death, or even a pet loss. I mean, whatever it is we experience in life, or hopes and dreams, everybody goes through something that can be traumatic or push you into a grief period. And that's what connects us all, is that we are not on this journey alone. The journeys are each different, but we're all in them together. And I think that's the real hopeful piece of this. I always remind myself, I don't know if you do this with Nathan, but for as young as we are, the fact that we have had so many years with our spouses, the fact that you got to have over 24 years of marriage and these beautiful kids. And, for me, Mike and I got to have 19 years together, almost 20. I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful that I got to experience the love of my life. Wherever the journey takes me from here, I am just grateful that I got to at least experience that I got to experience a love like that. And that makes me happy.
Being grateful for me, I've noticed, and for my kids, has provided healing. Being grateful and serving are some of the things that have helped us as we heal. But being grateful and being able to go, sometimes I think I was so afraid that he wouldn't be a part of our life. And I think the more that we can do to remember all the beautiful times and the moments, good and bad, that we had. I mean, I've had to ask Nathan for forgiveness for some things, you know what I mean? Like, I'm sorry that I ever did this or I said this. But I think as we look back and remember those times and talk openly, that's one thing I have tried so hard with my kids, to just remember, talk and laugh, and then go back and look at pictures and help them be like a part of our lives. I have one son that he has kept a dad journal every day, and he writes.
Oh, that's a great idea.
He is 18 years old, and he's about ready to leave to serve a mission. So he'll leave for a couple years, but he writes to Nathan like, "Hey, Dad, I scored a touchdown today. I hope you saw that. And I'm so grateful for you being there." And he writes what happened that day and shares it with Nathan. And I just think it's one of the most beautiful things. He listens to the same music, that Nathan listens to. So I think for us being able to talk and remember and go back and look at pictures and listen to similar music and go eat something and say, "Oh, Dad would love this." That's what we do, like on his birthday. And we do it all the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
But being able to be so grateful for that time that we did have with him, and that he was such an amazing father and dad.
Yeah.
I think gratitude is an important part of healing, that we can remember those great things. And I think then serving others and thinking of others. And it's amazing how, when you've been in this situation, how much empathy you have for someone that experiences something similar. I know we don't ever feel, and I would never claim to know how someone feels, because we don't, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I love that opportunity that my kids have been able to have, and I've been able to have, when we see someone going through something hard, that we can then be that person that others were to us in their challenge.
That's a gift. I mean, it's a gift to be able to say, I've got empathy towards this now, or, I can reach across the aisle or reach across virtually to somebody. And yeah, it's an empowering thing. And I think it brings peace. There's so many tidbits in here that you've mentioned that I think are so helpful to others that are walking this journey. And I love that your son writes a dad journal, that he writes to his. I just think that that's brilliant. It's such a great way to release emotion and to feel a connection. And, anybody else, if you have kids and you've suffered, the loss of a spouse and their dad, or vice versa, a wife and a mother, I think that that's such a great technique and tool that could be used to help heal. Before we end, what's one thing that, when you think about Nathan, that brings a smile to your face? Something he'd say, or a joke, or something he would do, or a look. What's one thing that puts a smile on your face when you think about him, that is the epitome of Nathan?
So I loved how Nathan would just sit down with the kids, and they would show him a video, and he would just sit and like laugh. He had this laugh. And so that I guess that is the first thing that comes to my mind, is just being able to sit and watch him be with the kids, looking at some video, looking at something. Phineas and Ferb is one of the cartoons that he loved watching with the kids. I would never, sit down with the kids to do those things, but he would sit down with those kids and he would just laugh. And so I guess seeing the joy that just watching him with our kids doing those little things, I guess that's the first thing that comes to mind, is just watching him laugh, and just love being with the kids.
Does that make you smile? Like when you think about those memories?
For sure. No question.
Yeah.
I know I need to slow down and do that a little bit more,
Well, I can picture it as you're saying it. And I want to thank you so much for being with us and for sharing your story and some of the work that you guys do. And if anybody's interested, please feel free to share with our listeners now where they can go if they want to order something from your site, or if they want to learn more about Saranoni Cares and the work you guys do. Please feel free, to share that.
So our website is Saranoni, so it's SARANONI.com. And there you can see our blankets, but also you can see our story, and you can also see Saranoni Cares and some of the initiatives that we have been carrying out there.
Perfect. Well, Emily, thank you so much for joining us today and for sharing your journey and your story. And hopefully it inspires others and gives others hope and maybe some tips on moving through their own grief journey. And for everybody listening, we will be right back.
Thank you so much, Shannon.
A proud episode sponsor for the Game On Glio podcast, Highmark Blue Cross Blue Shield of Western New York has helped millions of members since 1936 lead healthier lives. As a community-based not-for-profit health plan, Highmark Blue Cross Blue Shield invests millions of dollars each year to strengthen and enrich the health and quality of life in Western New York. Highmark Blue Cross Blue Shield provides a wide variety of health and wellness initiatives, including free fitness classes and farmers markets throughout our community all year long. For more information or questions on our initiatives, contact us at communityrelations@highmark.com or visit mybcbswny.com. As a cyclist, I am drawn to other stories of perseverance from other cyclists. Recently, I was watching a Netflix documentary on the Tour de France and the grueling training and dedication of the cyclists. What caught my attention most was commentary by one of the coaches that discussed the demands on the cyclists. Crashes are a part of the tour. Some are horrific, but all take a toll on the body. What's expected is that the rider is going to brush it off and keep going. Because the tour doesn't stop just because somebody gets hurt, the rest of the pack keeps going. There are no breaks. You either get up and ride, or you don't. But if you don't, then the rest of the team suffers. You can't just say, "I'm hurt," and then pick up again the next day. There is nobody to take you off the road, unless it's by ambulance. The rest of the cyclists don't wait for you. The race keeps going. What struck me about this are the parallels between the tour and grieving. When someone dies, that grief journey stops us in our tracks, but it doesn't stop life. It doesn't stop our friends' lives, our relatives' lives. It only stops you. But life keeps going. If you don't get up and find a way forward, then life leaves you behind. Grief is such a difficult journey. You crash into it, and then you don't realize how badly you are knocked about until you get up to keep going. The thing is, you have to keep going, because if you don't, then the grief eats you alive. You stop living. You become a shell of who you were. Life will leave you behind. Just as in cycling, you don't learn how far you can go, how much you can push yourself, how strong and resilient you are until you get up from a horrific crash and you find a way forward. Cyclists are taught from the tour. They're taught from all their intense races. They grow from the experiences. Grief is the same. When someone so vital to our day-to-day dies, the journey through it teaches us. We grow from it. We look in the mirror and we realize just how strong we are. And that is something to be proud of. Emily and the whole Saranoni family are doing just that. They're finding a way forward. They aren't letting life leave them behind. And they're making a difference throughout their grief journey. If you'd like to watch the documentary that I'm talking about, it's called Tour de France Unchained, and you can watch it on Netflix. We have another amazing, great episode later this month. Until then, thanks for tuning in. You've been listening to the Game On Glio podcast, the podcast that is designed to educate, advocate, and tell the real stories of those walking the journey of brain cancers such as glioblastoma and grief and loss. Like what you hear? Share us with others. Follow us on Instagram at Game On Glio Podcast, Facebook at Game On Glio, or visit our website or YouTube channel. You can find us anywhere podcasts are played.